Friends, we are at a critical moment for our country. We face huge challenges in the aftermath of COVID and Putin's appalling war in Ukraine. Now is the time to be bold. We cannot have business as usual economic management, which has led to low growth for decades. We need to deliver on Brexit and the opportunities it offers. And we need to win the fight for freedom at home and around the world. Yeah. That is why I am putting myself forward for leadership of the Conservative and Unionist Party and our great country. I will campaign as a Conservative and I will govern as a Conservative. I can lead, I can make tough decisions and I can get things done. I am ready to be Prime Minister from day one. I got to where I am today through hard work and aspiration. I didn't come from a traditional Conservative background. I grew up in Paisley and I went to comprehensive school in Leeds. Many of the children I were at school with were let down by low expectations, poor educational standards and a lack of opportunity. Too much talent went to waste. I didn't believe, and I don't believe, that it has to be that way. And that's why I went into politics. I care deeply about our country. I want us to be an aspiration nation where people from all backgrounds and all parts of the United Kingdom have the opportunity to have a great education, be able to start their own businesses and realise their dreams. Everyone should have the same opportunity, regardless of their background or where they live. And that is what levelling up is, in a Conservative way. I have a plan to make Britain a high-growth economy over the next 10 years, through bold supply-side reform. We will cut taxes, helping businesses invest in their future. We'll tackle the cost of energy, and we'll control government spending. We will create new low-tax, low-regulation zones to attract investment in communities up and down our country, creating new hubs for innovation and enterprise. We can revitalise local areas in the same way as we regenerated the London Docklands. Families are a vital part of our lives and a crucial building block for a stable society. They don't just look after themselves, but they're part of communities, charities, and even businesses. We will review the taxation of families to ensure that people aren't penalised for taking time out to care for children or elderly relatives. We'll turbocharge the rural economy by focusing on farmers growing food and cutting the pointless regulation that gets in their way. We need to be honest with the public. This will be tough. It will take time, but I am determined to deliver. I know I can deliver because I have taken bold decisions and made bold reforms throughout my career. After working in the energy and telecoms industry, I set up the Free Enterprise Group in Parliament. I made the case with like-minded colleagues for an open, competitive, dynamic economy. In government, I've consistently delivered and I've taken tough decisions. I stood up to Vladimir Putin by targeting Russia with the toughest sanctions his regime has ever seen. And I would continue to lead the free world in opposing Putin and making sure that Ukraine prevails. I don't give in to Whitehall. I don't give in to vested interests. And I don't give in to the naysayers. I've proved time and time again that I can deliver even when it's difficult. As Trade Secretary, I struck dozens of trade deals with major partners such as Australia and Japan, when people told me that it simply wouldn't be possible. In the face of EU intransigence, I developed the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill. It breaks the deadlock in a legal way, upholding the Belfast Good Friday Agreement and preventing the tearing apart of our precious union. As Chief Secretary to the Treasury, I had a firm grip on our nation's finances. I am prepared to do whatever it takes to get the job done. That, my friends, is why I am trusted to deliver. We have to level with the British public that our economy will not get back on track overnight. Times are going to be tough, but I know that I can get us on an upward trajectory by 2024. We can get there by delivering our promises, ensuring spades are in the ground, people are in jobs, and money is being generated in local areas right across our country. I can know it can be delivered by working relentlessly together as a team and focusing on delivery, delivery, and delivery. That's how we can turn things around, and that's how the Conservatives can win the next election. We don't have a moment to lose, and I will work with colleagues from right across the party to lead a strong and united team. Let me be clear, Labour is beatable, the Liberals are beatable. There isn't a great groundswell of support in the country for Sir Keir Starmer or Sir Ed Davey. What the British people are crying out for is a modern and united Conservative Party, ready with the courage of its convictions to deliver on the promises that we have made. So, my friends, you can trust me to get the economy going, to get money back in people's pockets, and to help squeezed families. Together, we will level up the country in a Conservative way, making it an aspiration nation. Together, we will continue to defy the voices of decline and stand tall on the world stage. So let's get on and deliver for our great country like never before. Thank you. I start with Beth Rigby of Sky.
Thank you. Liz Truss, you've just said that the country wants a modern and united Conservative Party, but the two candidates ahead of you in this race have one thing in common. They're a break from Boris Johnson. Rishi Sunak resigned from his government, you did not, and Penny Mordaunt was never in his cabinet, or only for a brief moment. And they've leapfrogged you in the race. Given the bitter divisions of recent months, is Boris Johnson's tacit backing of you the kiss of death for your candidacy, given that the party wants change even if you did not? Thank you.
The change we need to deliver is change on the economy. We've had sluggish growth for 2 decades, and we need a new economic plan. And I'm somebody who can work with a team from right across the Conservative Party to deliver on transforming our economy, cutting taxes for ordinary people across the country, getting investment into all areas from the north to the south, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales, helping us deliver the next general election, but most importantly, helping us deliver a brighter future for Britain.
Could I just ask, why didn't you resign from Boris Johnson's cabinet when so many colleagues did?
I'm a loyal person. I'm loyal to Boris Johnson. I supported our Prime Minister's aspirations, and I want to deliver the promise of the 2019 manifesto. And what we need to do now is deliver, deliver, deliver. And I am the person in this race with the record of delivery. I've taken the tough decisions at the Foreign Office, at the Trade Department. I've got a fantastic team of people in my campaign team, and more broadly, across the party. And I want to go in from day one in Downing Street and make sure we deliver on the promises we set out in 2019. Chris Mason.
Chris Mason from BBC News. How can you be the credible agent of change, given that you have sat around Boris Johnson's cabinet table throughout his time as Prime Minister? And if I may, how worried are you that your campaign is being trampled by the March of Mordaunt?
Well, as you know, I've been focusing on making sure that Vladimir Putin is defeated in Ukraine. And we led that effort. We led the fight for the free world. We put on more sanctions than any other country. We have encouraged others to stand tough. We were the first country to send weapons to Ukraine, and I'm proud of that record. Now, internally within government, I was critical within Cabinet of the proposed national insurance rise. I was a Cabinet minister who spoke out against it at the time. But I'm a loyalist. I believe in collective responsibility. But now the Prime Minister has stood down. I think it's right that I'm honest about my views on the economy. I spent 2 years as Chief Secretary. I can deliver a different economic plan that is credible and will work for the people of Britain and deliver on the promises that we made in the 2019 manifesto. Thank you. Anusha.
Thank you. Anusha Kristana, ITV News. Elizabeth Truss, you voted Remain and you remained in the Cabinet when tax rises came in. Penny Mordaunt backed Brexit from the start. Some say she's the real candidate of the right. Given that analysts say she is going to beat you, wouldn't the right thing be for party unity to swing behind her?
Well, since the referendum in 2016, I have done so much to deliver on the promises of Brexit and the opportunities of Brexit. I've delivered dozens of trade deals at the Department of Trade. I've delivered the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill to fix the issues that we have in Northern Ireland. And as Prime Minister, I am committed to unleashing the full opportunities of Brexit, the ability to do things differently, whether that's in financial services, whether it's in regulation, to really get our economy going. And I'm the candidate in this race that has the record of delivery. I've shown that I'm prepared to get difficult stuff done in Whitehall. I'm ready to hit the ground running from day one. We've only got 2 years till the general election. And my experience, my record of delivery is needed to get the job done. Jack Elsom.
Thank you, Foreign Secretary. You said just now you wanted to be honest about your plan for the economy. The government in which you serve currently has a tax plan to cut the basic rate of income tax by 1p by 2024. That's not enough, is it? And what would you like to see income tax cut to?
Well, on day one, we would start by having a new budget and a new spending review. It's vitally important that we reverse the national insurance rises, that we don't increase corporation tax because we need to get investment into all parts of our country. I also want to put in place low tax zones, particularly in areas like the north of England, to help attract enterprise. I think that's vitally important. And the way I see the COVID debt is it's a one-off event, it's a 1 in 100-year event. We should pay that debt off over a longer period of time. That is how I would fund my tax reductions, whilst at the same time laying out a clear plan, a clear 10-year plan to reform the government and the public sector, and to do all those supply-side reforms I've talked about to really get the economy motoring, because we have had anemic growth for the past 2 decades. And more of the same simply isn't going to work to deliver for the people of Britain. Jason Groves.
Thank you. You've worked with Penny Mordaunt in government. You've done some of the same jobs as her at equalities, at trade, on Brexit. Your friend Lord Foss this morning said she's not up to the job. Do you agree with him?
Well, actually, I haven't worked in the same department as Penny Mordaunt, and I certainly won't be making any disparaging comments about any of my fellow candidates. I think, in fact, the Conservative race shows what a broad range of talent we have in the Conservative Party. And we didn't get there through identity politics. We didn't get there through quotas. We got there because we are a meritocratic party that believes in the future of Britain. Ben Riley-Smith.
Thank you. 2 quick policy questions. Defence spending. What percentage of GDP would you want to see spent on defence? And would you keep Boris Johnson's Rwanda deportation policy?
I want to see, by the end of the decade, defence spending going up to 3% of GDP. I think it's vitally important, with increased insecurity in Europe and across the world, that we are putting our money where our mouth is. The fact is the free world didn't spend enough on defence. And we saw the results in terms of the appalling Russian aggression in Ukraine. If we don't make sure that Russia is defeated in Ukraine, we could see even worse taking place across Europe. So it is vitally important that we reform government so we can afford to spend more on defence. And part of that is helping more people get into work, reforming our welfare system to make sure that we are encouraging that, having proper incentives for people to go into work. This is why the national insurance rise is so wrong, because we need to make sure that people are encouraged to take up those opportunities. I completely agree with the Rwanda policy. I've worked very closely with Priti Patel on it, and we need to have further reforms in the United Kingdom to make sure that we can really stop illegal immigration. Steve Swinford.
Foreign Secretary, you talk about running a positive campaign and not criticising your rivals, but many of the people sitting in front of you in your own team have been publicly very critical of your rivals. They've said that Rishi Sunak has been plotting to undermine the Prime Minister for 6 months. They've publicly accused Rishi Sunak of orchestrating a dirty tricks campaign through Gavin Williamson. This morning, people around your team are saying that Penny Mordaunt would need stabilisers if she became Prime Minister. Do you endorse these very personal attacks on your rivals, or would you like the people in front of you not to carry them out anymore?
As you've heard today, Steve, I'm putting forward a positive agenda. I want to transform our country. I think the most pressing issue is the economy. We need to hit the ground running from day one. I'm the Prime Minister that can do that. And I want to have a team from across the Conservative Party getting all of our talents on the pitch to be able to do that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Very good to see you.
Well, Liz Truss launching her campaign this morning. Welcome to Central Lobby here in the Palace of Westminster. We're right in the middle of the building. To one side, we have the House of Commons, to the other, the House of Lords. Right in the middle is Tamara with me. What did we make of what she had to say?
Morning, Kay. Well, look, an assured speech by the Foreign Secretary. She could walk in to Downing Street on day one. She doesn't need any training for it. She's been in Cabinet for 7 years, and she wants lower taxes than we have at the moment, and she says that she can stand up to Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression. So she's trying to be the candidate of experience. A lot of the questions from journalists at that launch focused on the fact that there's no getting away from the fact that she did not get as good a result as she would have wanted yesterday in the first ballot of MPs. Rishi Sunak, as expected, was in the lead, but Penny Mordaunt surging behind him. The momentum seems to be with her. And then we got that polling yesterday from Conservative Party members showing that she's also the runaway favourite with them. So can Liz Truss beat Mordaunt? Can she unite the right of the Conservative Party behind her? Well, at the moment, she has to show that in this second ballot today. And if we see a couple of the lesser-known candidates, people like Suella Braverman, for example, is probably the most right-wing candidate in the contest, dropping out and their support going to Truss, then she could start to recoup lost ground. But she really needs to get some momentum going now. I thought I detected a slight tetchiness in some of her answers about Penny Mordaunt, although she insisted she wasn't going to make disparaging comments. Plenty of her supporters have done, not privately but publicly, and suggested that Penny Mordaunt does not have the experience to go and run number 10.
She didn't answer head on, though, that question, did she, when she was asked about it?
No, she said that she wouldn't be making disparaging comments and that she'd not worked with Penny Mordaunt in government. Penny Mordaunt was Defence Secretary for about 3 months during the latter days of Theresa May, when Liz Truss was also in the Cabinet, so they must have worked together a bit, but she didn't give away anything about that. But certainly, you look at people like Simon Clarke, a Cabinet Minister at the Treasury, he has said this morning that Conservatives and the country need to be concerned about the prospect of somebody who has not got the right experience going into number 10.
It was interesting that she talked about President Putin, because when I asked her, she told me that she'd never met President Putin, but I suppose that's a question for another day when the debates take place. Talk to us, before we move on, talk to us about the geography of where we are. We're in something called Central Lobby. So for the benefit of our viewers, where are we? What happens here? Why is this a good place for us to be today?
So this is the historic Central Lobby. This is where you will see people coming in to meet their MPs. You'll see MPs coming together to talk, to plot a bit. You often see MPs sitting on these benches around me having meetings. This is the sort of beating heart of Parliament. Before we had Portcullis House, which is the new glass bit of Parliament where we often go now. This was where MPs would meet. You've got the House of Lords coming off one end, the House of Commons off another, and this is where MPs would come in before and after votes before going into one of the two chambers.
And this is where any member of the public can come. They need to be invited,
Yes.
but anyone can come here.
Yes, anyone can come here. They can't, of course, go into the chambers, but they can arrange to meet their MPs here, and they can when they come in, MPs will typically meet them here. This is where MPs meet after votes. This is where also the sort of warren of committee rooms is where you get to some of those.
So when we hear
here.
about Committee Room 14, that's
yes,
off
that is,
here.
So there's a corridor of committee rooms, and in one of them today there will be the 1922 committee at 3 o'clock announcing the results of the second ballot. So all of these committee rooms are busy all day long with different hearings, but it's in these sort of hot committee rooms that the Tory leadership stages in Parliament will be decided before the final two go to the membership.
And it's an absolutely stunning building. Look at that chandelier, absolutely gorgeous. They do tours here all the time, so a lot of young people, they're trying to get involved in politics and show them that it's not dry and it's not boring. And we're certainly seeing that with this leadership contest.
Indeed, I mean, Labour are saying this is a circus and this does not reflect well on the country to have all this fighting among the governing party. But certainly some Conservatives, while hoping that it's over quickly, say it shows that there's a genuine battle of ideas there for the soul of the party. You've got candidates who members of the public will have barely heard of doing pretty well in this contest.
Tell us about some
more
of them.
Established figures. You know, Jeremy Hunt, former Foreign Secretary, out yesterday. Nadeem Zahawi in cabinet for a while, now the Chancellor, out of the contest. And yet you see people like Kemi Badenoch, a local government minister who came from Nigeria as a child. She worked in banking before going into politics. She's got 40 votes from her colleagues to be the next Prime Minister. Suella Braverman, who is on the sort of very right-wing Brexiteer end of the Conservative Party, is talking about leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. She got quite a lot of support from the ERG. They're the group of MPs who made life very difficult for Theresa May with her Brexit deal. You know, she's done very well as well. I mean, this is really the next generation of Conservatives who we're starting to see come through here. And even if they
Too
don't
early
win,
for them? Yeah.
it feels like it is too early
It
for
does,
them. I
it
suspect
does.
Braverman may be in line to go out in this vote because she got the fewest of those remaining in the contest. She got the fewest votes yesterday, and it's hard to see where she picks them up given that Liz Truss is very much trying to appeal to Conservatives on the right. So if she goes out, then Truss will hope to pick up many of her votes. Kemi Badenoch as well, if she were to go out today, don't forget if more than one MP is in the last place, so if you're tied in last place, you both go out. So she may also be at risk today, but she has picked up support not on the right, more on the sort of culture war side of the party. People who say that some things that are happening in politics are too woke. She's very concerned about regulation of the online world. So she's attracted a lot of support, which will need to be picked up elsewhere as well. But you can imagine that both of them may well be in line for a job in someone's cabinet.
Politics is brutal, though, isn't it? I mean, I was speaking to the camps of Jeremy Hunt and also, Zahawi last night once they were out. And they were riding high, both those guys. And look what happened.
It really is brutal. I mean, those who think that they are going to do well sometimes end up not doing well. And I think with Jeremy Hunt in particular, the number of declared supporters was more than the number who actually voted for him. So obviously a couple of people had told him,
Porky pies.
You're my guy, and then that didn't happen. And indeed, Jeremy Hunt declared for Rishi Sunak late last night, said he was supporting him. That would have been a massive disappointment to Penny Mordaunt, who supported him for the leadership in 2019.
Sacked for supporting him.
Sacked as Defence Secretary, obviously the job of a lifetime, for supporting him when Boris Johnson got in and wreaked revenge on the people who didn't back him. So she will have been disappointed. Tom Tugendhat, who the former soldier, also had pretty good contest for someone who's never held a ministerial job. He sees himself as the one nation sort of One Nation candidate of the Tory party, he would have wanted Jeremy Hunt's support as well. So, you know, it is brutal. You don't know who your friends are until it really comes to the crunch. And we are seeing now that some of the lesser-known candidates, who members of the public probably wouldn't even recognise at the bus stop, are now really getting to the final stages in the race to be the next Prime Minister.
And the vote is at 11:30. It opens at 11:30. 360 MPs can
I think
vote?
there were 357 voting yesterday, so
Right.
a few have sort of lost the whip. But yes, 357 voting. Rishi Sunak picked up the support of about a quarter of them yesterday. And
He needs 119.
Well, he'll be hoping to take a commanding lead, but his
129. I can't remember
yesterday
now.
I spoke to a very-
129 he needs, yeah.
Yeah, so I spoke to a very senior member of his team yesterday who, in the morning, who said to me, we're not going to get 100 votes. I wondered if it was expectation management, but he said Boris Johnson got well over 100 in the first ballot 3 years ago. They said he can't because of the way the thresholds are working and the way people want to keep certain candidates in the contest, and that means they have to get at least 30. They said he couldn't get 100. That's in the end what happened. But I think yesterday, looking at those numbers, you see that Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, who supported Boris Johnson to the very end, some say she's just going to be continuity Boris Johnson. She only got 50 and she will need to find some momentum somewhere.
We'll know about 3 o'clock, won't we? Is there a lower threshold this time
No
around?
thresholds this time. Lowest candidate goes. If there's more than one candidate tied, they both go. And of course, anyone can at any point decide to drop out of the race. So
just to clarify,
at least one will go.
if somebody gets one, they're out, but if somebody gets 2 votes, they can stay in.
Yes.
Unlike what happened yesterday.
That's right. I mean, I don't think that's likely because most of the candidates hope to retain their support they've already got. But yes, I think...
Well, you say that, but it's interesting that we were hearing from Therese Coffey, who was representing Liz Truss this morning, basically saying to the people who are representing
Kenny and Suella Braverman.
saying,
join us.
Come and join us.
Yes, and will they do that today? I mean, we'll see Jeremy Hunt and Nadeem Zahawi's supporters, that's 18 and 25 respectively, going to other camps. So where do those 43 votes go? I mean, some of them will probably join Jeremy Hunt in the Rishi Sunak camp, but others may support other candidates. Don't think either of their supporters will probably go to Suella Braverman, which makes me think that she may be the first to exit the race today. But certainly, if we see Kemi Badenoch picking up any more support, people deciding that regardless of the fact that she's unlikely to win the whole thing, they still want to keep her in the contest, then things could start to get very unpredictable.
Interesting that we should maybe just develop a little bit further on what we were saying about Jeremy Hunt not supporting Penny Mordaunt and why that seemed to be particularly brutal. Because she actually lost her job, didn't she, for supporting him?
Yes, do you remember the 2019 leadership contest? Boris Johnson versus Jeremy Hunt in the final 2. They went on hustings around the country, and Penny Mordaunt, who had been made Defence Secretary only in the May, and this was the contest ended with Boris Johnson becoming Prime Minister in July. She supported Jeremy Hunt. She went out on a limb. Other senior figures in the party, members of the cabinet, swallowed some doubts, I would say, and supported Boris Johnson. Some of the young thrusters in the party, like Rishi Sunak, Robert Jenrick, Oliver Dowden, they all said we must have Boris Johnson to deliver Brexit. And although Penny Mordaunt actually lent him a lot of credibility because she had been a Brexiteer and said, I believe Jeremy Hunt can do this, he didn't win. Boris Johnson wreaked his revenge on everybody who didn't support him. He had quite a substantial cabinet reshuffle at the beginning when he came in. Penny Mordaunt was out. She later made a sort of comeback as a trade minister, but never back in the cabinet under Boris Johnson. So she made sacrifices for Jeremy Hunt. He did not return the favour yesterday. But also, Tom Tugendhat supporters are also raging about Jeremy Hunt not supporting him, and they say giving the One Nation wing of the party more of a chance.
I wonder why he wanted Rishi Sunak as falling behind him. Should we talk about that after the break?
Indeed.
Why don't we?